Steve Jobs was worth over $10 billion. Yet he wore the same black turtleneck every day. He lived in a modest home, drove a silver Mercedes with no license plate, legally, by swapping it out every 6 months. Why? Because Jobs didn't care about looking rich. He cared about building something that couldn't be killed. And that mindset didn't just create a company. It created a legacy machine, engineered to survive long after he was gone. This isn't a tribute, it's a map. We're going to break down how Steve Jobs built Apple into a dynasty. One that didn't rely on his name, his presence, or his heirs. And by the end, you'll see exactly what made his empire different from the thousands that died with their founders. Let's start with a simple question. What's the real goal? To get rich or to stay relevant? Most founders chase momentum. Jobs chased permanence. He didn't just want to succeed. He wanted the world to change and stay changed because of something he built. From the beginning, he treated every product like a message in a bottle, carefully crafted, sealed, and meant to survive time. And when Apple fired him in 1985 from the very company he helped create, he didn't spiral. He built again. But here's the key. He didn't build for ego. He built to solve. Next, Pixar, 2 companies born in exile, both built around a single obsession, clarity. Pixar wasn't about animation. It was about storytelling tools so intuitive they disappeared behind the art. And next, that computer's software would later become the core of Apple's operating system. Even while gone, Jobs was shaping the foundation for his return. When he did return, Apple was dying, and within a few years, he made it the most valuable company in the world. But how? It wasn't by launching products, it was by eliminating distractions. He cut more than 70% of Apple's product line. He made every team obsess over the few things that actually mattered, and he rebuilt Apple as a closed loop. Hardware, software, content, retail, all controlled under one roof. Ask yourself, how many modern companies would be willing to do less to protect more? Jobs was. Because he knew something most builders forget. The more hands that touch the machine, the easier it breaks. He didn't want popularity. He wanted precision. Even decades earlier, in 1984, he previewed this mindset. That infamous Super Bowl ad, the one that only aired once, positioned Apple as a rebellion. Not against a company, but against conformity. He wasn't just launching the Macintosh. He was launching a myth, and myth mattered to him. Because he believed culture outlives marketing. That belief shaped everything. Even the packaging, even the floors of the Apple Store, even the parts of the motherboard customers would never see. To Jobs, elegance wasn't a luxury, it was a signal. And consistency was not for aesthetics. It was for resilience. Why make the inside of a device beautiful if no one will see it? Because someone will open it eventually. And when they do, it should reflect the same care as the outside. That was his view. If one part lacks integrity, the whole thing's compromised. You start to see it now, don't you? He wasn't building a brand. He was building a cathedral. And like a cathedral, Apple wasn't meant to be fast. It was meant to last. In his final years, Jobs knew he was running out of time, and what he did next reveals everything about how he thought. He didn't write a memoir. He didn't give control to family. He chose Tim Cook, not for vision, but for operational discipline. Because Jobs didn't want a new artist. He wanted a protector. He embedded Apple's values into its structure, literally. From hiring processes to product pipelines, he made sure the soul of the company was systematized. He pre-approved roadmaps years in advance, and when he stepped back, Apple didn't wobble. It accelerated. Now ask yourself this: if you disappeared tomorrow, would the thing you're building keep going? Or was it never designed to survive without you? That's the question Jobs answered, with actions, not words. Apple today still runs on 3 core principles he hardwired into its DNA. 1. Total stack control. Apple owns the chip, the device, the OS, the store, the distribution. Jobs believed outsourcing core components meant outsourcing your future. 2. Cultural minimalism. Not just design, but decision-making. Fewer options, less noise. Clarity was religion. 3rd, identity as ecosystem. Apple isn't just what you use, it's what you join. Jobs didn't just sell tools, he sold belief systems, and here's where it gets even more interesting. Jobs didn't want his kids to inherit his wealth. He said he wanted them to discover their own paths, free from the shadow of his success. He didn't pass down money, he passed down a philosophy, and he left the infrastructure of Apple to carry that philosophy forward. No billion-dollar trust funds, no luxury compounds, just a machine built to run on vision, even without its visionary. So let me ask you again, what's your work actually building? Something that pays you now, or something that outlasts you? Most people build to escape obscurity. Jobs built to create permanence. And in doing so, he became one of the rare few who left behind more than products. He left behind a framework, a model, a legacy machine, and that's why Apple still feels like Steve Jobs, not because he's in the building, but because the building was designed by his values. This is what it looks like to forge a fortune that outlives the fortune. If you're drawn to the minds behind empires and the systems that outlive them, subscribe to Forged in Fortune. These aren't just stories from the past, they're playbooks for those bold enough to build their own. Because legacy isn't what you leave behind. It's what you build into everything while you're still here.